All right, Shalom. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rachak Wadash, and double honor to our apostles, elders, and bishops here at Great Millstone for teaching this truth. It's going all around the earth, and Shalom to the hopeful elect out there. It's your brother Atazawan. And we're going to jump into a real quick story here about this guy here, Floyd Mayweather. This is coming from TMZ Sports. All right. I had a few still shots just before this as we opened up on this lesson. And really, this lesson is going to be about covetousness more so than really about this guy here. Now, we all know Floyd. Floyd was a undefeated boxer, right, for many years. And he was about that flash, right, that cash. And money was his thing. That's his nickname, Floyd Money Mayweather, right? And so this story has come out that, he's fathered this child with this dancer that used to work for him at his club. All right. And so now he's ordered to pay $1 million in back child support and then pay this chick, I don't know, 30 some odd thousand. Well, we'll read the article. But anyway, he also aligned himself with the JOOSs over there, the Tiny Tops, okay? And prior to that, some years back, he understood, that he was an Israelite, but yet he chose a side, and his side, I think he's been over there 4 or 5 times now over in that land, right? And he aligned himself with those people over there, okay? So here it is now, this dude is broke, allegedly. All right. That he's run out of money. So now he's going to, at 50, I think he's 50 or maybe even 51. Now he's supposedly scheduled to fight Manny Pacquiao. I believe that's who it is. All right. Because why? He needs the money. You see? So anyway, let's read a little bit of this article, and then we're going to get into a short lesson about covetousness. All right, which is there's a law in our scriptures about covetousness or against covetousness, and all types of warnings, right, about covetousness. All right. So anyway, let's read a little bit of this article. It says here, Floyd Mayweather had a baby with a dancer. Let me see if I can highlight it. Salakia. Guess not. Anyway, you can follow along. And if you want to, you can go out there and read this. This is on TMZ Sports. Fair use. Fair use. Okay. I'm not making any money off of this video. This video is strictly for educational purposes. All right. It says Floyd Mayweather had a baby with a dancer in his Las Vegas strip club, and now the boxing legend has been ordered to pony up $1 million and back child support, which child support is unrighteous. All right. The elder Malcolm, he's very, very astute and experienced with the understanding of the so-called law or the color of law here in the States concerning, I believe it's Title 4D. Okay. But child support is unlawful. Going on, it says, in addition to $33,000 a month for the baby girl, Mayweather 49. Okay, they say he's 49. I thought he was 50 or 50 plus. Anyway, Mayweather 49 was legally declared the father of the 4-year-old girl in March 2026, with the judge writing the court finds that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is the father of Price Moorhead, according to court docs obtained by TMZ Sports. Floyd was ordered to pay $32,850 a month, which is totally ridiculous. No child needs that, right? A month in child support, in addition to $933,050 in back support. The latest baby marks Mayweather's 5th child. Going on, it says the court got involved in June 2023 when the mother, Paige Moorhead, asked a Nevada judge to legally declare Mayweather the father of the 18-month-old child who was born in December 2021. Moorhead said she was a long-term intimate relationship, was in a long-term intimate relationship with Mayweather, which lasted 8 years until she claims he broke up with her when he found out she was pregnant in April of 2021. Page claims Floyd pressured her to get an abortion and ultimately fired her, even though she'd worked at his girl collection club for 4 years. Despite being served twice and ultimately ordered to take a DNA test, Mayweather blew off the directive before the judge issued the default judgment. Defendant failed to respond, declaring him Pops. Per the court, Floyd has only paid about $151,000 of what he owes, so the judge ruled Page can place a lien worth up to $2 million on property owned by Mayweather in California, helping ensure she gets the money for the child, right? And it's all a scam. The money is really for the court system, because they got their little thing going. The judges got to get paid and the bailiffs got to get paid and so on and so on. It's all a racket here in Babylon the Great, as we know, all right? But this is the thing, with Floyd, he's a very covetous man. He's very, very proud, okay, boastful. And, yeah, to a certain degree, you got to give it to him because he's an excellent pugilist. He's an excellent fighter. But the Most High gave him that gift, gave him that talent. And he refused to acknowledge the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, okay? But he said he understood that he was an Israelite or is an Israelite, okay? But yet, he doesn't appear to do anything concerning repentance, you see? And so he's in that world of entertainment, sport and entertainment, and now this stuff is catching up with him. The shit is catching up with him, you see? All right? And he had an opportunity, to serve Yahweh Shem Yahushua more than likely, if that is, he would have repented. But obviously the truth is not for Floyd. All right? So, things are what they are, okay? So let's go into a little bit of what the scriptures say concerning covetousness. You go to Exodus 20 and 17. We're just going to get right to the point in most of these scriptures. You can always, like I said, you can always go back and read these chapters for yourself. This is where we find the 10 Commandments, okay? And the 10th here is Exodus 20 and 17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's, right? And so ultimately, covetous is to desire or strongly desire or lust after, right? Hamad, let's see. It says what greatly beloved, delectable thing, delight, right? And then you see here, it says lust, right? And this guy, money has become really his God, right? The scriptures also tell you, number one, thou shalt have no God before me, you see? And money had become his moniker. That's what he worships. Anyway, it says here, to desire, covet, take pleasure in, delight, to desire, to be desirable, to delight greatly. See? And that's what he likes. He likes the attention. He likes the money that comes with it. And so he's basically just, living life on his terms, as it were. You see, but now things aren't looking too good. He's an old fighter, and now here it is. Now you got to find a way to make you some money. After I think he's made, so they say, all of his purses combined and what he's made is like $1 billion or so, all right, before taxes, obviously, okay? But the Lord does give us instruction how not to covet after money or things, all right, especially that which belongs to someone else. But the whole point being, you can't take things and make them, your God, so to speak. All right. This is First Timothy 6, and let's jump in right there. Verse 6, it says, "But godliness with content is great gain, for we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out." All right. So that goes into all of your possessions. And it's not that having things is wrong, right? But the fact that you covet it, or you love it, you desire it, you lust after it, okay? It don't necessarily have to be somebody else's, but what you already have, you desire that more than you desire to do the will of the Most High or to be a righteous man, okay? But this is really talking about, those in the ministry who really, preach the word. But even in that, as a teacher, as a prophet, you're teaching other men, the right path to be on. So it still applies. All right. Going on in verse 8, it says, "Having food and raiment, let us be therewith content." Right? So basically be content with your daily bread. Now, if the Lord blesses you greatly to the extent that you have all that you could ever want, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, just do right. Okay. Realize that it came from, and acknowledge that it came from Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And mostly, when another brother or sister, and I know it's kind of hard in this world, but you try to help as many in the faith as you can, okay, if at all possible. And sometimes it's not, because people get mad or envious of somebody that they think is doing better than them. So it's kind of a tight walk. Anyway, verse 9, "But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money," see, it's not money in and of itself or wealth in and of itself, but the love of it, meaning that you're coveted it, and you will do anything and everything in order to get more, okay? For the love, because your love is supposed to be for Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right? Through that fear of the Lord. "For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some covet after," see, "they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." Okay? And now this man is sorrowful. Okay? Here it is, he went out there, first and foremost, you're dealing with a loose woman. All right? She's a dancer, a chick of the world. And here it is, you didn't even protect yourself, because why? His eyes more than likely was filled with lust, her beauty. And she took him in his in her beauty, you see. And so now he's caught up in a snare, a hurtful lust. Okay. Luke 12:13, it reads, "And one of the company said unto him, Master, speak to my brother that he divide inheritance with me. And he said unto him, Man, who made me a judge or a divider over you? And he said unto them, Take heed and beware of covetousness, for man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesses." Right? And Floyd is always flossing. He's always on, shooting a video of himself. You see him on the private jet with all the money laid out in front of him, all the $1 million chains he's got on his neck, and 12 different Bugatti cars, and so on and so on and on and on, always boasting about how he has so much. Okay? Hey, like Job said, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Anyway, verse 16, "And he spake a parable unto them, saying, The ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentiful, Salakia. And he thought within himself, saying, What shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? Yeah, man, I got so much. I can't. I don't even have a place to put the rest of this. Going on, it says, verse 18, and he said, this will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. And I will say, now this is a parable, that Yahushua is teaching by. Okay? And I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. And Floyd, ever since he retired, that's all he's been doing. He's got all his goons and henchmen that follow him around wherever he goes. When he go to Spain and Monaco and Las Vegas and L.A. and New York and Chicago, so on and so forth, right? He walks around and like a prince, He's got his little minions and shit with him everywhere he goes. They're living off of him. Okay. Verse 20, but the Most High said unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided? So is he that layeth up treasure for himself and is not rich towards the Most High. Right. So, a lot of times when you are well off like that, sometimes the Lord calls upon you to distribute, and you can't be, unwilling, okay, to do the will of the Lord, okay, in a matter of speaking, okay, because it could be here today and gone tomorrow, whether you like it or not. See, Colossians 3:1, and it reads, if ye then be risen with Mashiach, seek those things which are above, right? Those treasures of heaven. So you're supposed to really in this life be concentrating right now, especially being in this wicked kingdom, of the things to come, not of the fashion of this world. You see, because that dude got tailor-made everything, and has the latest of whatever there is that's out. Got a big, 15,000 square foot mansion, something of that nature. Okay. Verse 1 again, if ye then be risen with Mashiach, seek those things which are above, where Mashiach sitteth on the right hand of the Most High. Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Mashiach in the Most High. When Mashiach, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with him in glory. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and what else? And covetousness, which is what? Idolatry, right? You make it a god, even to the point where you make yourself, you bow down to those things that you have. You worship them in many different ways. Okay? For which things seek the wrath of the Most High cometh to the children of disobedience. You see? Let's go on verse 7. It says, in the which ye also walked sometime when ye lived in them. But now ye also put off all these, anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouths or mouth. Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. Right. So, if Floyd had repented and turned around, these are the things that he would have to do. Okay. All right. So it is what it is. He's heard of the Hebrew Israelites. Like I said, he said that he believes he's from the tribe of Judah and so on, but he's not living like it. Okay. And the scriptures say that, there'll be those who, will be, have contempt, really. Okay. This is James 4. And let's see here. We can just jump in at verse 5. All right, James 4:5. Do you think that the scripture saith in vain, the spirit that dwelleth in us lusteth to envy? But he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, the Most High resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Right? And so this may be a humbling point in Floyd's life. maybe, okay, just maybe, all right? But the dude is hella proud, okay? Submit yourselves, therefore, to the Most High. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw nigh to the Most High, and that's what Floyd needs to do. He needs to draw nigh to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. He needs to repent, okay? And he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. And Floyd is double-minded. Again, acknowledging he's a Hebrew Israelite, but then, he goes over to that land over there, to the tiny tops, and says he will always stand with them. See? Confused. Anyway, going on, be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up. Speak not evil one of another, brethren. He that speaketh evil of his brother and judges his brother speaketh evil of the law and judges the law. But if thou judge the law, thou art not a doer of the law, but a judge. There is one lawgiver who is able to save and to destroy. Who art thou that judges another? Go to now, ye that say, today or tomorrow we will go into such a city and continue there a year and buy and sell and get gain. Whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeared for a little time and then vanish away, right? For that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we will live and do this or that. But now ye rejoice in your boasting, all such rejoicing is evil, right? And this dude had the opportunity. Okay, now we don't know, the Lord ain't totally finished yet, with opening the eyes of the hopeful elect, but as I said before, this dude knows about the Hebrew Israelites, all right? And, he's constantly thinking of ways now to try to get himself some money to get back on that level, because all the reports are saying is that he doesn't have that kind of money, okay? All right? And so he's thinking of ways, of how can I get back on top, right? So tomorrow I'll fight Manny Pacquiao, you see? So he's trying to make a future deal to try to get his hands on some money, okay? But you don't know what tomorrow brings, like we read in that parable, right, of the man who wanted to build bigger barns. And part of that parable was, well, your soul is required now, so you're not going to get to enjoy that, you see? So you can't make waste, or you should make haste, Salakia, to repent now while you have the opportunity, okay? Because you don't know what tomorrow brings, all right? That's not within your power. Proverbs 11, and let's just jump in right there, verse 2. It says, when pride cometh, then cometh shame, you see? But with the lowly is wisdom. The integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death, you see? And that's what you ought to be working on, all right? That righteousness of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Not worried about what the hell is going on in this world and trying to maintain an image in this world, okay? Covetousness is not good, all right? This is 1 John 2 and 15, Salakia. I don't know, for whatever reason, this thing does not line up that good. But anyway, let's jump in right there, verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world, and that's the world that Floyd grew up in. He saw his father as a boxer, his uncle as a boxer, right? His uncle later became his trainer. I think Floyd turned pro at 20. So, he fought, professionally for, 26, 28 years, something like that, right? And here he is now as an old man, coming up on 50 years old, having to get in the ring. Okay. Going on in verse 17, it says, and the world passeth away, right? The things of this world is going to pass away. It's going to be nothing. Okay. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever, right? So if it was meant for him, Floyd would have turned around. He would have repented and understood not just that you're an Israelite, but now you have to do something with that wisdom. You have to do something with that information other than, because that's what you find Jake doing. Most of them say, yeah, I know I'm an Israelite, and they keep living as a nigga in the world, and that's what he did. So there's consequences for that. There's consequences for, being covetous in the earth. Okay. So anyway, just a quick light lesson on that. You have to beware of covetousness. That's what the scriptures tell you. All right. So with that, we're in the lesson right there. All right. Giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash, and double honor to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Lord willing, you learn something, and I'll see you again real soon with another lesson. Shalom.